I don't know how I'm going to follow that bio. Holy crap. First of all, I'm from Minnesota, not
Oh,
Wisconsin.
I thought Wisconsin.
Minnesota. Go Vikings.
Sorry,
Here
sorry.
for the Vikings. My small town, Norwood, Young America, is about 40 miles west of here. You guys hip? You know where it is? Norwood? Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's such a beautiful little farm community, right? I love it. I'm so happy that I grew up in such a great, small, little, beautiful Minnesota town, and I never forget where I come from. My roots, Minnesota. I'm Minnesota nice through and through.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, it's been a really positive thing in my career to be that nice Minnesota guy. You know, in the music industry, there's a lot of really jerky people out there trying to take advantage, tell you a lot of things that you want to hear, maybe have ulterior motives, but I'm telling you, we are so nice, Minnesota, and hang on to that. Don't ever forget where you come from. It's one of my first things of advice I'd like to give you. How about that? Minnesota. Hey, I'm going to the game Monday night. I got tickets.
I might win them. I'm entered a few times.
I hope you go.
Oh, I know.
I'm so excited to see the new stadium. Pretty cool. I'm a huge Vikings fan. My father always had season tickets, so I get to go with him a couple times a year. And I get the NFL package every year, much to my wife's chagrin, because I have to watch my Vikings every Sunday. Anyway, they're looking good, right? Good season so far, even with the injuries. But we're not here to talk about football, are we? You guys want to talk about music. Okay, so how many drummers in the house? Let me see. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Drummers, unite. So all of you are, let me guess, performers, or is it also like studio engineers, right?
Yeah, they come from all disciplines. So we
Okay.
have from the performance college or performance division department, whatever area, singers, drummers, guitarists, I should say vocalists, sorry. You name it, reed, strings. We have from the production department here, producers. There's a business department, live sound, composition, that's correct. Also,
Composition.
liberal arts is offered as well.
Don't ever let go of your songwriting credits and rights. You want to own everything, right? That's what I do with my photography. My deal is with every artist I work with, I own. I'm not going to give away my copyright. It's important to hang on to your creative product, which is, for me, my work, my photography. So if you're writing songs, creating music, whatever, always hang on to that publishing, the publishing and the songwriting. Good example, my good friend Billy Squire. You know Billy Squire, the amazing guitar player that we all love? Amazing. I got to tour 2 summers with him, became one of my dear friends. And he was telling me about growing up in Boston. He got a lot of offers to play with a lot of different groups. And actually, the band Boston, Tom Schultz, wanted Billy to do all the vocals for the records, but he wanted to just pay Billy like a day rate for the studio, his session time. And Billy said, nah, I don't give away any of my stuff. And Billy is very, very smart about that. And he hung on to all the publishing and the songwriting rights to all those big hits from the 80s and 90s that we love. He did very, very well on that. So anyway, good lesson there.
That's a good first point.
So I want to tell you guys, you know what I was doing? I know she
Yes,
mentioned
we have
it.
to talk about that first, and then
But
we'll get
before that, I got to tell you something really exciting. Yesterday, I was asked to speak at my alma mater, Minnesota State Mankato. You all know where that is, right? I went to school there 30 years ago. I can't believe how fast 30 years ago, and I want to talk to you about that, about how fast time goes. But that's another story. But to be asked to talk on my old alma mater campus was really, really awesome. So I had a nice big room full of music and photography students, and we talked about, working with the artists and photography, and it was so much fun on campus. And then at night we had a gallery show, and we did a Q&A just like this with 2 couches, except we had 2 ferns on the end too.
I know
we
we're
need
kind
2
of missing the
ferns.
ferns. I brought all my best materials, but
It
that's
was
okay.
so much fun. I really enjoyed going back and talking to the Minnesota folks because I was once you. She said it best. I am you. I was once sitting out there, and I was this young kid with the big, bright, wide eyes. I couldn't absorb enough information, and I've always had big, lofty goals. I always knew I was here to do something more, do something special. So I never lost track of that, and I always kept my focus on the big carrot hanging on the stick, you know what I mean? Never lose track of that. Whatever it is you're doing now, just remember that's your passion in life. You got to find a way to make that your career, your destiny. And when I was a kid, I used to absorb as much information from people who were successful. I just find that to be very true. You know, if you want to be successful, just find out what successful people do and follow that path. So first thing that I want to tell you, and I don't want to make this an AA meeting, but I immediately quit drinking, smoking, anything stupid. I mean, that's so dumb to waste your money on stuff like that when it pulls you away from your goal. Our goal is success, right? All that stuff keeps you away from success. We want to be successful and clear and happy. And plus, Lori and I were talking about this just not long ago, about doors opening and being able to produce good results and consistently. And every time a new door opens, you're always ready, you're always available, and you're always putting out good vibes. And those doors will continue to open for you. I'm a living example. It happened for me. I just kept working really hard. I kept focusing, and I kept thinking about where I wanted to go, where I wanted to end up. And I just let those doors open. And every time it opens, you got to be prepared. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You have to do all the hard work. But when they open, be prepared. And if you can pull it off and keep producing good work, they'll keep opening. And you know, eventually the phone keeps ringing, and that's how it goes. That's what happened for me.
And I want to add to that. It's like oftentimes we think and we say to ourselves, I'm going to do that when I get a better job, or when I make more money, or when this happens, then I will. And I think just the converse is really true. It's like when we kind of change our thinking and our actions, that door will open. So when that does open, you don't have to totally reinvent yourself to keep more doors opening. Do you get what I'm saying? So wow, if you're timely and just producing good stuff and good to your word, when that happens, you just keep doing more of what you're doing. And it'll keep happening, I promise.
Exactly. So I'm 50. I just turned 50 in May. I know. That's
You look
old.
good.
50.
I'm going to be 58.
You know why? She says I look good because I'm healthy. I work out all the time. Nothing bad in my body. I eat really healthy, really well. No chemicals, no crap. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to make this an AA meeting or a Dr. Phil, be healthy thing, but it's just worked for me, being very positive and putting only positive things in, garbage out. We all heard that, right? So keep it clean. So 50, I turned 50. And man, I look back and think, holy cow, that went like this.
It's like a blink, isn't it?
It's like this fast. Yeah. And you know what? When you're, how old are you guys? Like 18, 19, 20, right? When I was your age, when I heard old guys say that, it goes that fast. I'm like, yeah, that's something old guys say, but I don't feel like an old guy. I'm still that little boy from Norwood, Young America. I'm that little kid inside. I've always been that little kid. Drives my wife nuts because I'm a little boy. So she has 2 kids in the house, me and my daughter. But I feel like it's important to hang on to that young inside little baby inside of you, that little kid, that real excited little kid that loves art, that loves music, that loves all that stuff. Never lose track of that. Hang on to it, nurture it. Of course, we age on the outside, so the outside person becomes the protector of that inside person. I have that little, my grandma used to call me Bobby. I have that little Bobby inside me, and I'm the big Rob now, protecting little Bobby and making sure he's okay and nurturing him and, just continuing doing what I love because that's what makes Bobby happy.
Well, and I kind of talk about it as like that ember that keeps fueling everything lifelong.
Yeah.
And that's really where like our no fear comes from and our bravery and creativity. And we don't get caught up with like you should be doing this or this is how you do that. That little kid stays alive because that's like the dreams and the bravery and, the why not.
When you're a kid growing up in a small town in Minnesota, in Norwood, Young America, where I grew up, when you tell your friends, I'm going to move to LA, I'm going to be a drummer, I want to be a photographer, I used to hear it, oh my God, you're such a dreamer. But the thing is, in high school, I had the best high school band director ever. In fact, he was with me yesterday at Mankato as my special guest, and I got to introduce him to all the kids and tell them, this guy helped me find my path. He was the one that turned on that light switch inside of me. And I started drumming 6th grade. summer 6th grade, and I'm telling you, within 6 months, I had it. I like, okay, I got it. I get it. There's a groove. I can do it. And I became really good at drumming because I worked hard at it every night, hours. Boom. And my band director turned me on to like Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson and all these great jazz drummers, and I still have a really big love of jazz. But what I was going to is my love of music is what inspired me to get into photography. My parents' record collection. I'm listening to all these great records and looking at the photos, and we had a camera in the house. So I picked up the camera and started learning how to shoot pictures, and I just, halfway through my senior year at Mankato, I decided I needed to make a move. I needed to get to California, and it was a huge leap of faith. I had no connections in LA, barely had money. I had like $300 in my pocket maybe. And I packed a van that my high school computer teacher sold to me at a really great price because he knew I wanted to get out there. So I had this 78 Dodge van with wall-to-wall carpeting. I did. I know it sounds like a total pedophile mobile, but it was so nice of him to give me that van, pretty cheap. So I packed my drums and my camera gear and headed west. Got into LA, didn't know anyone, and it's a big city. When you come from Norwood, population 1,058 when I left, into LA, which is massive, it was pretty scary, I have to say, but I was fearless.
Yeah.
You have to be fearless. Don't be afraid to call anyone. Don't be afraid to knock on some doors. Don't be afraid to talk to anyone and find information. And if you want to do anything, you have to make the initiative. You have to make the phone calls, the connections, and follow through. Be on time, be courteous, all that stuff. It helps.
And you bring up a point that I think of a lot these days. We've become so reactive with technology. We're always answering things and reacting to. Whereas the flip side, if you can have no fear and be more of an action person, it starts to feel really good because you start blazing your own trails.
You want to be in control of your own destiny, really.
Yeah. You also reminded me of one thing, too. We had the Joni Mitchell tribute last week. I'm co-producing a show at the Ordway next month, Joni Mitchell's music.
Yeah.
And she thinks of herself as a painter first, who is also a songwriter. And she talks about when songwriting isn't quite happening, then she'll go paint. And then all of a sudden songs come. So you have the dualistic thing going on as well, creatively.
The arts,
yeah.
Whether we paint, whether we drum, whether we, photography.
They flatter each other.
Yeah, they work so well together. And for me, it was great because as a drummer and as a photographer, to work with all these amazing drummers, you'll see, we'll go through some photos, all these great drummers that I grew up idolizing, to be working with them. And not only working with them, but become friends with them. And it's just a dream come true. It's pretty incredible.
I don't think we can keep them hanging much longer on where you were 2 nights ago.
Oh, 3 nights ago.
3 nights ago,
I flew in Wednesday, but Tuesday night I was in LA with the Stones, Rolling Stones. Yeah. At rehearsal. Yeah. I'm doing another project with them, my 3rd one, and I've been working with those guys for about, since 2005, and I'll tell you about that story next. But 3 years ago, I did a book with them called Stones Gear. Are you guys hip? I photographed all the guitars and amps and drums, and they put together this amazing, amazing coffee table book of all the instruments they've ever recorded with or played live. And it was such a fun project to do it. The publisher of the book, Andy Babuke, also did Beatles gear. So there's Beatles gear and Stones gear. I met him when he was finishing up the Beatles gear because of my work with Ringo. So I met him then, and then when he got the Stones gear project, he called and said, Rob, you're going to love this, but I got the Stones gear project, you're in, I want you to shoot all this stuff. So it was so much fun. I got to go to rehearsals and go to the shows and shoot sound check, shoot the amps on stage, shoot all the stuff, at rehearsals, all the guitars.
You have some of that?
Yeah, some of that's here too. So really fun. And then I did some work with Charlie for something else. But this trip, they called me in and I go to rehearsal. And I'm telling you, they're rehearsing at this small little rehearsal place in LA up in North Hollywood. And the room is probably like half the size of this room. It's pretty small. So to be in that room with the Stones, just play, it's like the best ever.
He has
And
a picture on his phone someone took. He's sitting on a couch like this, and then you just see all of them
Yeah, they're
practicing.
all right here.
And he's like that far away from all these. I'm like,
Actually,
stop
Charlie's
it.
drum riser was
I
like
know.
right here.
Mick Jagger's, yeah, right
The
there.
couch is actually right behind Charlie's kit. So Charlie was like seated right there drumming. I'm like,
Just crazy.
so
if you
great.
talk to him afterwards, perhaps he might show you the picture on the phone.
Yeah, I have it on my phone, but you can go to my Facebook and see it. Of course, I put it on Facebook. And that's another thing I want to do. I have some cards for you guys. Go to my Facebook, like the page, and follow me because I post all my fun stuff that I do, and I talk about the artists that I work with, and you'll dig it. You're musicians. You'll really dig it. So
Yeah, and if you do send him a note, remind him that you met him here at McNally Smith. He's great. He'll remember that.
You know, I reply to everyone. I get a lot of emails, Facebook message, whatever. I'll call you back. I'll write, I promise, because I love keeping in touch with kids and helping. I'm a mentor. I love taking kids in, and I'm a dot connector. I love connect. In fact, here's what I did with Charlie Watts. Dig this. So Charlie has been collecting all these amazing drum kits. Like he has like Buddy Rich's drum kit, and he has like all these old jazz grades. Yeah. Like he's been buying up all these cool old drum kits. He has Charlie Parker's saxophone and Dizzy Gillespie's stage suits, and he's been collecting all this great stuff. And I know he's a collector. Last year in summer, I was in Nashville working, and I went to a show, and a friend of mine introduced me to DJ Fontana, the original drummer from Elvis Presley during the 1950s.
Yeah.
He's 87 years old now, and he's, shuffle, but he gets around, and he came to the show. And I asked him, DJ, do you want to do a photo shoot while I'm in town? And he said, yeah, at the house. You want to shoot with my old drum kit? I'm like, no way. He has the original 1950 Gretsch round badge drum kit in his living room. And I went and did a photo shoot with him with that kit, and he's got all the original drum heads on. So I'm looking at this snare drum and thinking Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, all those great Elvis hits from the 50s came from this drum kit right here, and I'm touching it going, ba-da, ba-ba, da-da. That's the drum, that's the kit. It was amazing. I love that stuff. I'm a geek, I like that. So I did a bunch of photos, and then that night in my hotel, I sent them to Charlie. I said, Charlie, look at this drum kit I was with today. And I found out from DJ and his wife that they were interested in selling the drum kit.
No way.
Yeah, the Hard Rock wants it, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they don't want to pay. But, DJ and Karen, they want to, leave some money for the kids, the grandkids. So I said, I know just the guy. So I connected the dots. Charlie bought it, $150,000.
It's someone who would appreciate it. Totally.
Yeah, Charlie's so happy he has it. So anyway, fast forward to this week with the Stones. So after rehearsal, I had a talk with Charlie, and he wants me to shoot the drum collection, all the drums, all the suits, the saxophones, and he's got a car collection also, an old car collection.
See, I would love that because I'm kind of a gearhead.
Oh, you'll
Very
love this.
cool.
I drive a 56 Chevy. I have this beautiful old 56 Chevy that's so awesome. It's restored nice. And I have a picture of Charlie sitting in my car. I took pictures of him leaning on the hood. It's so great. He loves old vintage stuff, especially American stuff.
So pictures.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start
You want to see some
perusing
stuff? Yeah. Okay, so Keith Richards, this is from years ago. So I'll tell you this story before I get to the next photo. So back in 2005, and as Lori mentioned, I've been shooting with Ringo for like 15 years, since 2000, 2001, which is cool in itself. I mean, that's unbelievable, touring with Ringo and doing all the shows and tour books, record covers, great. But the Stones are in town, in LA, 2005. So I called Ringo. I said, man, Charlie Watts is in town. When's the last time you guys got together? So I made another phone call to Jim Keltner, who's one of my favorite great studio drummers, too. You all know Jim Keltner, the great studio drummer who you've heard 1,000 times on the radio. He called Charlie, and we hooked it up, and the next day, we met at Ringo's house. So Ringo and I are in the driveway, and the car pulls up, and Charlie gets out, Ringo, and Ringo goes, Charlie. And they start running towards each other like the classic love story on the beach, and I'm like, holy shit, Beatles and Stones drummers. And I had my camera in my hand, but it was happening so fast. I raised my camera and went click, just in time for this. Right? And that's all about photography, the timing, getting that timing down. So there's Ringo and Charlie and Jim Keltner. So all those great John Lennon hits, Imagine, blah, blah, those are all Jim Keltner on drums. Just really great, great. So then we go into the house, and Ringo's got the drum kits in the house. Here's an electronic kit in one room, and they're just joking around, having a great time playing drums. You can see me on the top left with my camera.
Isn't this fantastic? I know.
Oh, and we just started. That's
I know.
That's
Keep
like photo
going.
3. So check this out. So Ringo says, hey, Charlie, you got to check out the electronic kit. And he gets up and hands Charlie the sticks, and they did a stick handoff, and I just captured that moment. It was like a split-second thing. But I love it because it has so much emotion and feeling and vibe. And as artists, that's what we want. We want to capture that moment, that feeling, that vibe, right? If I had asked them, hey, guys, hold the sticks. Let's do a photo of you guys. It wouldn't have worked. No. And guys like this, they don't want to do that. They want everything to be natural. And they want to hang and just let life happen. And anyway, so one of my favorite photos. I just really love that one. Avril Lavigne. Back before she turned goth. She's still sweet and innocent there. She's probably 7. She's probably younger than you guys, so. Fleetwood Mac. A lot of great drummers. I get to shoot all the amazing drummers. I'm just so happy. Plus, I know how to hang with drummers, and that's key, the language, the lingo. And that really helps. Joe Walsh from the Eagles with his Maserati that does 185. Eddie Van Halen. And that's what I was talking about last night to the photo students. I did a seminar for the Mankato photography students, and it's the timing, being able to capture that moment, which is like a second or two. He dropped to his knee for a second, and it was over. And also the access. Look I'm on stage with Van Halen, and getting that access is key because that's where you get all the cool angles and the backstage and the good stuff. So it all goes back to working my relationships and being that guy that always is able to pull through and capture the moment and get the right photos and easy. In fact, in my book, which Lori had mentioned, I have a couple copies if you guys want one. In my book, in my foreword by Ringo, like the third line, he says, Rob is such an easy guy to hang with, and that's important. No attitude. You can't have any of that. And I'm telling you, the bigger the guys that I work with, the bigger the stars, the easier, the nicer, and it's so much nicer to work with the big A-list stars. When you start getting down into the C and D-list artists, that's where you start hearing you start getting the baggage and the attitudes. It's hard to figure out. The cream always rises to the top.
That's right.
This is Abe Sr. You guys know Abe Laborio Jr., right? Paul McCartney's drummer. This is his dad, the amazing bass players. How many bass players in here? Yeah, you know this guy. He's amazing, just great. I shot this at the Catalina Bar and Grill in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. Amazing jazz club. This is the cover of Ringo's last record, Postcards from Paradise.
That's fantastic.
So when I heard the record cover, my mind went nuts, and I put this together. It was an old stock photo that I had of Ringo. I shot that in his driveway like 5 years ago. Dropped in the background, and then in the glasses, I added it's a shot of one of my travel photos. Dropped it in the glasses, and I sent it to Ringo. Hey, what do you think of this? Oh, Rob, that's perfect. Yeah, that was a good one. I like it. What else? Amazing drummers right here. Roger Taylor, Neil Peart, and Nick Mason. That's Queen, Rush, and Pink Floyd drummers. The two guys on the outside. Right? How big is that? The two guys on the outside, I went to London to shoot. So I spent a week in London doing those. And then the guy in the middle, Neil, I shot in Oxnard, California. And then with the magic of Photoshop, we put them together. I mean, hanging with Roger Taylor from Queen, going to his house out in Surrey, which is like an hour outside of London. And at his house, he's got this amazing drum room, as you can imagine. And he has all his old touring drums in storage up in the loft. So I'm up in the loft looking at all the old great drums. Just amazing. Another Rush photo, drummer from Rush photo with that signature snare. Pretty cool. Okay, so this is back with the Beatles Rock Band release. You guys hip? Beatles Rock Band. How many Beatles fans? Yeah, come on. Like every arm in the room is up. I love it. So I've been working with these guys for a while, and this is back in 2009 or 10, I believe. And it was for the promo for the Beatles Rock Band release. And after the photo shoot, I realized when they left, I had their footprints all over my backdrop. I had a white seamless backdrop out. I'm looking at it going, wow, that's the Beatle rhythm section footprint. So I snipped it off, and I have it in my studio hanging. It's a pretty cool piece of art. It looks like one of those old Arthur Murray dance things with the footprints. So that was shot number 1, and this is shot number 2 that went on the cover of USA Today when they did the promo for Beatles Rock Band. So on the cover of the A section, not the entertainment section, but the front page. It was cool, yeah. Really cool, really fun. What else? Oh, Sean Pelton, Saturday Night Live drummer. So I went to New York to shoot him, and of course you want to get that New York vibe. So I threw him in the drums at Times Square. And then if you look closely on the billboard in the back, I put my book cover in it. See it? Here's my book cover. See if you can find it on the billboard in the back. Underneath the big wicked billboard. Right above the cab. There's actually a Samsung ad. It says, "The next big thing is here." I love doing stuff like that, and I shot this for DW Drums, and I didn't tell them I did that until it went into the magazines, and I said, hey, check it out. Lady Gaga, who's a fan? Oh my God, that girl, amazing, amazing, amazing. This is in Barcelona, Spain, and she's so big over there. She has such a huge European following, especially Spain. I didn't know that, but she really cut her teeth in Spain, doing a lot of club circuits, and then started filling bigger and bigger rooms. But Spain loves Gaga, so really fun to go there and shoot that. And I wanted to capture the feeling of the show, the excitement, the confetti, and all that. It just was so much fun.
And she's cool.
She's such an artist, such an artist. She could sit here with a flute and make magic. She has that voice, and she can actually play piano, and she doesn't need auto-tune, you engineers, She just is so raw and such a great, great artist. I love her.
Inside out.
Completely. Yeah, that's a true talent. Drummers. Drummers. A lot of these photos I have in here for my photography seminars to show the students the lighting, et cetera, et cetera. But these are all cool drummers. This is Nickelback's drummer. First one was Judas Priest's drummer. So, a lot of famous drummers. I get to shoot all the good guys. Aerosmith's drummer. Joey Kramer. So, I got to tell you, my Aerosmith. I'm such a huge fan. I grew up in the 80s, 90s. Aerosmith, come on, so great. The first time they called me, I was out on the road with Ringo, so I had to say no, and that's the hardest thing. You don't say no to Aerosmith. But I was able to do it the next time, like a year later. And first time I met Steven Tyler, he walks right up to me. He says, "Fuck you." I'm like, what? He says, "Nobody says no to Aerosmith." And I'm like, oh, man, I was out with Ringo. And he's like, okay, a Beatle. You can say no to us for a Beatle. He was only kidding. He's such a cool guy. I'm telling you, Aerosmith, what a show. Amazing. From start to finish. Steven Tyler, 150%, 200%. He's like Mick Jagger. It's just amazing, just so vital and amazing and energetic. And it's great that the band's all clean now and they're running on all pistons and really great. I had a good time with Aerosmith.
Didn't I see a picture on your website, I think, Steven Tyler?
Yeah, I do have a new one of Steven up.
Yeah,
I think it's here. Yeah. This one, well, it's coming up, like 5 more. This shot was right before they hit the stage. They're going from dressing room into my studio. Well, I set up a light and had my shooting area ready. Boom, and then 2 minutes later, they're on stage. So Steven says, "Hey, Rob, just do your thing. Anywhere you want to go on stage, side stage. If you want to come down the middle runway with me all the way to the end, come on, run down." I'm like, really? On stage with Aerosmith? I'm telling you, it was cool. I went from Norwood, Minnesota to the stage of Aerosmith. It's possible. You can do it. So I had such a great time with them. Oh, here's another shot. Oh, I told Steven he looks like my Aunt Renee. She dresses the same. It's funny. So here I am on stage, right in front of the drum kit. Like, seriously, like right there. So much fun. Oh, then during the show, Steven decides he wants to come and sing to me. He gets a little too close. And then he decides my lens is dirty. He literally took his scarf and cleaned my lens. Crazy, right? That's as close as you want to get to a Steven Tyler mouth. But just fun, just really great. I love energetic photos, great rock band. Just really fun, beautiful stuff. I love it. I love shooting Aerosmith. Had a great time with them. And the access, you know, being able to get on stage and get that drummer shot, so powerful. Like the band. Yeah, that's the one. This one's on my website. I love it. It's so nice. As you can see, there's a couple different drum kits in here, so it's from a few different tours. It's fun to work with guys continually, and you build that level of trust and understanding. And oh, I just lost my computer or my battery.
You know what? We will take a little time for some questions as well.
Love
this
the
might be a great
questions.
spot to interject a couple of minutes of questions and then a couple
Sure.
things after that. We have about 10, 12 minutes left. Anybody?
Really?
And you know what?
10 minutes?
It's already 20 to 1. Yeah, we have
Holy
like 12
cow.
minutes left. So I'm
Time
going to go
goes
grab
so
this
fast up
mic
here.
so that we can get you on tape with your question. I'll be right out here. I know there's questions. Beautiful. No fear. Well practiced.
So all the concerts that you've shot, on the average, what do you think, how many
Wait.
shots
I
do
gotta
you...
come out there. I can't hear you.
How many shots do you think that you take in one of like Aerosmith concerts do you walk away with?
Oh, how many shots do I
Yeah.
shoot? You know, I'm old school. I used to shoot film. I grew up in the film days and learning film and the magic of film, which I'm really happy about because it was good for me to learn the mechanics of photography, f-stops, shutter speeds, all that good stuff. I don't shoot on auto. I shoot everything on manual. And I use small cards. I mean, you can get like a 2 gig card and go crazy and shoot a million photos, but who wants to sit and edit? I love shooting with small cards, like a 1 gig, like maybe a 4 gig, actually a 4 gig card. I can get like 100 frames, high res, which is like 3 rolls of film. I don't want to shoot more than 3 rolls of film of anything.
You get those shots. That's
I'm sorry?
amazing. And you get those incredible shots. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very selective of what I shoot. I don't sit and shoot on motor drive. I just capture the moment. And my exposures are right on. I make sure I get it in the can so I don't have to go back and correct everything. I try and keep it, like when you're in the studio recording, you want the best track possible from the get-go. They can go in and clean up this and that, but I want to make it as good a file as I can from the photo shoot.
Did you ever work with the South African photographer Norman Seed or know of his
I know who he is. Norman Seed?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, he was totally...
From like the 70s. Yeah, great stuff. I really enjoy his stuff. And you've all seen his work. It's really brilliant.
I'm going to interject something really quick, and I wish I could think of his name. Really famous wildlife nature photographer, spent 34 years with National Geographic. Yeah, and he lives up north, in northern Minnesota.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'll come up with his name and then tell you. But my point is, he just released a thing about 2 years ago. He spent 90 days in the North Woods through
Beautiful.
turning into winter. He shot 1 picture a day. So
I read about him.
Yeah.
I did read about
And
him.
I'm going to look up his name while the next question gets answered.
I should know his name, but I forget.
I will. I'll get it.
I did read about him.
But it was amazing. He waited and he just went click, one day at a time.
That's
Once
cool.
a day.
See, I like that. I'm along those lines. I'd rather
Yeah.
do that than shoot a million of the same thing. And yeah. Hi.
What's your go-to camera?
My go-to cameras? I'm a Nikon guy. So I have a couple of D4s, really great workhorses. I know they have the D5 out now. This came out a couple months ago. And, I wasn't sure I wanted to upgrade, but I just had one in my hands a couple weeks ago. And it's a really great camera. But I'm loving the D4s, and I have a Hasselblad H5P40, which is a nice, beautiful medium format camera, 200 meg files. My big campaign stuff, I'll use that for. I won't take it out on the road for live stuff, but it's great in the studio for campaign.
Jim Brandenburg. Yeah, Jim Brandenburg. Jim Brandenburg.
Jim Brandenburg.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forrester. Great recording studio engineering teacher. Over there, I'm going over there. Here I go. I'm almost 15.
When you moved out to California and did that whole big excursion on yourself, did you ever find yourself dealing with kind of any legal stuff right away, like any contracting issues that you wouldn't have thought, like if you were getting a contract now compared to then, like the differences, I guess.
Yeah, you learn.
Yeah.
You learn from your mistakes. I thought you were going to ask me if I got any like parking tickets or speeding. I'll tell you what happened.
Any legal trouble?
Yeah. I guess if there was anything that you ran into then that you didn't know or weren't aware of that you would do differently now.
Yeah, I wish I would have, from the very beginning, had more control over my work. I mean, obviously now I do, and it's easier now in the digital world because everything is a digital file. Back then, though, you'd have to send out your slides. I'd shoot everything on Chrome. So I'd send it out, and a lot of times you never get that back. So all of my originals went to, wherever, and I really wish I had all those. And, there was a thing back then when you shoot film, you'd make a dupe, D-U-P-E, which means duplicate. You make a duplicate slide, but the quality was never the same, and I never wanted to send out dupes. So I would send the originals in hopes that I would get them back, but sometimes you
Maybe
don't.
last question, we'll take one more question, and then maybe like 3, oh my God, photographs.
Oh, something happened up here because I signed on, but I don't see it on the screen.
Over here, right? Question? There, I'm sorry.
What would you say was like the pinnacle moment of your career where you kind of realized like, wow, I established like the foundation with these artists and you kind of became like the go-to guy because clearly, you worked with so many people throughout your career.
I didn't hear the last half of your question, but I think I know what you're asking. What was my defining moment?
Yeah.
What was the moment that really kick-started my
Yeah,
career?
it really puts you on to all this.
I'll give you the short version. So arriving in LA before the internet and before Facebook and before, where you can connect with anyone, as a musician, you hang out on Sunset Boulevard at night. All the clubs on. You go club hopping. That was our Facebook. That was our social network, so to speak. So I'd go and hang out with all these musicians, and you try and find guys that are on the same level as you as far as playing wise and thinking what, you want to get into a band, you want to form a band, you want to be the next Guns N' Roses, whatever. So I met a guitar player who I connected with, and he had a house up in the valley. So I ended up moving in with him and sleeping on his couch, and 2 blocks from his house was this amazing photo lab and studio, photography studio. It was a studio with a commercial lab adjoined. It was owned by the same guy. So I went in and said, I love photography, I know photography, I need a job. He asked me a couple questions to, test my photography knowledge, and I apparently passed, got the job, and I ended up transforming that studio for him. He was an old guy, didn't really, put too much marketing or effort into it. But I told him, I said, look, LA is filled with models, actors, musicians, everyone needs a headshot. Let's start advertising as that, headshot. And I just started shooting like crazy, churning out headshots. One guy, a drummer, who I became really good friends with, as most drummers do. We're like a unique breed, I guess. But this drummer was a good friend, and I used to go see his band every Sunday night. They played at this little bar in Venice Beach called Venice Bistro, Sunday night, him and his band. And the band alone was amazing, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But this drummer was really good. So I'd go see him just to hang out, watch him play. He ended up getting the Stevie Nicks gig. He called me and said, Rob, you're not going to believe this. I auditioned, and I got the Stevie Nicks gig. 100, 200 drummers auditioned, and he got the gig. That's how good he was. So said I need a headshot for the tour book. So I shot that headshot that went into the tour book. His cymbal company, Peisty Cymbals, who endorsed him, called and said, we'd like to use the photo for our next catalog. In fact, we have a whole roster of drummers we want to know if you want to photograph. So I started shooting Stuart Copeland, and Sheila E., and Alex Van Halen, and just all these amazing drummers that I grew up idolizing. I'm like, wow, this is my ticket in, the photography of the drummers. So Scott Crago, the drummer, who went on to play not only with Stevie Nicks, but when Stevie and Don Henley did that Leather and Lace record, he started working with Henley, so Henley hired him to do the solo Henley tours, and then Henley hired him to be the Eagles drummer. So he's we lost we lost Glenn Fry, but when the Eagles were touring he's been with them 17 years.
Wow.
He's the drummer that comes and plays on the kit when Don comes up front to sing. You know, the tour starts and Henley's playing drums, like 3 songs, and then he goes to the front with an acoustic guitar, and then Scott gets on the kit. So he went from Venice Bistro to the Eagles, and I kind of rode that wave with him, you know?
It's great. You know, you brought up Stevie Nicks and Paul Peterson from Minneapolis, the Peterson family. He's on her tour now.
Oh, what does he do? He plays?
Well, yeah, he plays bass, guitar, piano, drums.
So he's in the band?
Yeah.
Touring. Awesome.
He's touring with her, yeah.
I love that.
His other brother is on tour with Bonnie Raitt.
Minnesota boys.
Crazy. All right, we have like 1 minute. So would you, did we get hot?
Just replugging that cable in.
Thank you, Todd Smith, sound god. Let's give Todd a like nice All right. Oops.
Is that a beer bottle?
We're gonna try for like 3 more pictures. Your call, if it works.
I don't know what happened.
Ooh, RGB2. Here it comes. All right, we're up. He has to pick them out first, and he doesn't want to show you some secret information. We're on a need-to-know basis. Perhaps you might run across the greatest one that's coming out in the next book. And please come up afterwards and check out his book. It's really cool. And I'm sure you'll ask. He might ask you a question. I'm sure you will answer anything that you have to ask. Yep, got it.
How about that? My selfie with Ringo. All right, that's not what I want to say. Oh, we got a bunch. How about if I just go through it really fast? Okay, so look at this. Paul, Joe Walsh, Keith Richards, and Ringo. And look at those guys, how you can see we have that connection. That's what I love. I love that connection, being able to work with these artists, and they're just folks like us. They're just regular
They are.
guys.
Very cool.
They happen to have an amazing career, but deep down, and I think working with them and being a musician really helps me break that wall, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I love seeing their faces, how happy they are. They trust me, which is good. You want trust with anyone you work with. Stones guitars. This is part of that Stones gear book. More Stones. Look at that. Okay, there's my favorite photo ever.
That, you know what, that's a great one to maybe
Yeah,
on.
because you know what? Nobody gets Charlie Watts to smile like I do. He's got such a lovely smile, right? And you know what happened was, that day that I did that photo shoot with Ringo and Charlie at the house, I put a book together of like 50 of my favorite photos from that day, and I sent one to each of the guys, and Charlie called me and said, "Rob, you make me look like a movie star." So when I did this shoot, I said, "Charlie, you are a movie star." And he went, and I hit the button, and that was it. One shot, and he went, "That's it. That's it, Charlie."
We're so appreciative. And you just really remind us of the fact, and I really believe this, a lot of folks have become legendary. That happens, I think, for great internal reasons. They're just cool and chill and nice people. So I'm sure that he would love to answer any questions. Give a next round of applause, our friend Rob.